The prison of your mind holds the key to your freedom, and today you discover how to unlock it. What separates those who thrive from those who merely survive isn't luck, talent, or circumstances. It's the quality of their thinking. Your existence doesn't transform when external conditions shift. It transforms when your mental patterns do. The majority of individuals struggle not from lacking ability, but from destructive thought processes that undermine their inherent potential. In an environment saturated with chaos, interruptions, and toxic programming, mastering the art of proper thinking becomes your greatest weapon. This transcends simple encouragement. It's a complete mental revolution. If you're exhausted from being paralyzed, stressed, or perpetually questioning yourself, then this guidance will restructure your consciousness for precision, command, and meaning. Let's embark on this path to mental sovereignty. Number 1, you are not your thoughts. You are the observer. One of the most transformative insights you can gain in existence is this: you are not your thoughts. You are the witness of your thoughts. The majority of people navigate life as slaves to their consciousness. A pessimistic idea emerges and they accept it. A frightening vision materializes in their mind and they respond emotionally as though it's currently unfolding. The untrained consciousness becomes the ruler and you become its captive. But here's reality. Your thoughts are merely mental phenomena. They arrive and depart like vapor drifting across the heavens. Some serve you, some harm you, and most are simply static. But you are not the vapor. You are the heavens, the tranquility behind everything. The instant you grasp this, everything shifts. When an idea like, "I'm inadequate," surfaces in your consciousness, you can now witness it rather than accepting it. You can say, "That's curious. Where did that originate?" Instead of emotionally surrendering to it. This gap between the thought and your response to it is where all your strength resides. It is the origin of serenity, self-control, and intentional existence. Consider your consciousness like a broadcasting station. It's perpetually transmitting concepts, anxieties, recollections, and illusions. But you are the audience. You can engage or disengage. You can even switch the channel completely. Meditation, awareness, writing, these are all instruments to help you develop the witness perspective. But even now, take a breath. Notice the commentary in your head and then notice the awareness observing it. That's you. Why does this matter? Because most people are their thoughts. They don't possess them. They become them. And that's why they anguish. Once you separate and see thoughts for what they are, temporary mental activity, you no longer sink in them. You rise above them with lucidity and composure. Proper thinking starts when you stop responding to every thought and begin observing them like a sage guardian. This is where liberation begins, not in commanding every thought, but in not allowing your thoughts to command you. You are not your consciousness. You are the ruler of your consciousness. As number 2, train your mind like a muscle. Exit just as your body requires consistent exercise to become more powerful. Your consciousness demands daily conditioning to become keener, more resilient, and more concentrated. Yet, most people invest hours sculpting their physique while completely neglecting their most potent instrument, their mind. Your thoughts create your world. Your perspective determines your path. But a frail, undisciplined mind will crumble under stress, spiral into pessimistic cycles, and surrender at the first hint of opposition. That's why you must approach your mental conditioning the same way an athlete approaches training, with structure, purpose, and persistence. Consider this: if you visited the gym once monthly, would you anticipate progress? Absolutely not. The same applies to mental fortitude. Watching a single inspirational video or reading one quote won't revolutionize your existence. Mental discipline develops through repetition and application. Each day you awaken, you're presented an opportunity to strengthen your mindset. Begin your mornings with purpose. Study, contemplate, meditate, write, or envision. These minor practices accumulate over time. They reshape how you think, react, and guide your life. Pessimistic thoughts are like mental poison. You must substitute them with pure, empowering thoughts, just as you replace soda with water. Every time you select focus over distraction, bravery over fear, appreciation over grievance, you're lifting the mental weight. You're becoming stronger. You wouldn't neglect leg day if you desired a balanced physique. Don't neglect mental training if you want a balanced existence. Nourish your mind with knowledge. Challenge yourself to discover something fresh. Examine your thoughts. Push yourself beyond your comfort zone. That's where development exists. Initially, it might feel strange. Just as the first workout leaves you aching, training your mind may feel uncomfortable. But that's how you recognize it's functioning. The discomfort signals progress. A conditioned mind doesn't panic in turmoil. It remains composed. A conditioned mind doesn't quit when exhausted. It perseveres with clarity. A conditioned mind sees answers, not obstacles. That's the strength of a mentally robust person. So don't just develop your body. Develop your mindset with the same vigor, because when the mind is strong, everything else follows. As number 3, delete the virus of negative self-talk. If your mind is the operating system of your existence, then negative self-talk is the malware that quietly corrupts everything. You may not notice it immediately, but gradually it depletes your confidence, contaminates your potential, and persuades you to accept mediocrity. Every time you tell yourself, I'm inadequate, or I'll never achieve success, you are not describing your reality. You are constructing it. Your words, especially those you repeat internally, possess influence. They become convictions. And convictions drive conduct. Imagine your mind as a garden. Negative self-talk is the invasive plant. If left unmanaged, it spreads, strangles your progress, and overshadows your growth. You must become merciless with the internal critic. You don't negotiate with invasive plants. You eliminate them. But where does this self-talk originate? Often it's not even yours. It's inherited from your history, parents, instructors, tormentors, failures, and fears. Somewhere along the journey, you absorbed restricting messages and accepted them as fact. But today, you get to challenge them. You get to rewrite the narrative. Begin by being attentive. Catch yourself in action. Notice the language you employ when speaking to yourself. Would you say those identical words to a friend you cherish? If not, why say them to yourself? Once you're aware, replace those negative phrases with truth-based declarations. Instead of, I always ruin things, say, I've made errors, but I'm learning and advancing. Instead of, I'm not intelligent enough, try, I can solve things with effort and time. Over time, this rewiring alters your mental blueprint. It upgrades your self-image. And that new image becomes the foundation for action, accomplishment, and inner tranquility. It's not about false optimism. It's about mental cleanliness, choosing language that supports your growth rather than sabotaging it. Delete the virus. Don't allow old falsehoods to dictate your future. Build a mental environment where belief, encouragement, and self-respect are the default settings. Because when you change how you speak to yourself, you change how you see yourself. And when you see yourself differently, you live differently. So speak to yourself like someone worth fighting for, because you are. As number 4, questions are the steering wheel of the mind. Your mind is constantly seeking direction, and questions are what guide it. They are not merely tools for collecting information. They are commands to your brain. And the quality of your existence is often shaped by the quality of questions you repeatedly ask yourself. Think of questions as the steering wheel of your thoughts. Ask empowering questions and your mind focuses on solutions, possibilities, and growth. Ask destructive questions and your mind spirals into fear, doubt, and self-sabotage. For example, consider the difference between these two questions. Why does everything always go wrong for me? Versus, what can I learn from this and how can I grow stronger? The first question traps you in victimhood. It assumes you are powerless. The second question activates your inner strength. It makes you resourceful. It shifts your focus from pain to purpose. Your brain is like a search engine. Ask it a question and it will provide answers, whether those answers help or hurt. If you ask, why am I so unlucky? Your mind will compile all your failures. But if you ask, what's one thing I can control right now? Your mind begins solving problems and regaining control. This is why self-inquiry is so powerful. In moments of struggle, ask yourself, what is this situation trying to teach me? How can I use this to grow stronger or wiser? What's the next best move I can take right now? What would the strongest version of me do in this moment? These types of questions train your mind to look forward, not backward. They steer you away from despair and toward clarity, purpose, and strength. Even your daily life can be transformed through questions. Instead of starting your day with anxiety or autopilot, ask, what am I grateful for today? What kind of energy do I want to bring to this day? Who can I encourage or help today? Over time, asking intentional questions becomes a habit. And that habit becomes a mindset, one that doesn't collapse under pressure, but rises with purpose. So remember this: if your mind feels lost, don't force the answer. Change the question. Your life will follow where your questions lead. Number 5, think in solutions. When life presents obstacles in your path, you have two options: focus on the problem or focus on the solution. Most people unconsciously choose the first. They dwell, complain, overthink, and replay what went wrong. But none of that moves you forward. If anything, it traps you in a cycle of stress and helplessness. Thinking in problems is reactive. It makes you a victim. But thinking in solutions is proactive. It turns you into a creator. Every successful person, every high achiever, every resilient soul you admire has one thing in common: they don't waste energy magnifying problems. They focus on how to solve them. Solution-oriented thinking is a mindset, a habit, a skill you can develop. Here's the key: problems are inevitable, but suffering over them is optional. You can't always control what happens, but you can always control how you respond. And your response begins with where you place your mental attention. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what can I do about this right now? What's one small step forward I can take today? Even the biggest problems become manageable when you break them down and look for openings instead of dead ends. Solutions often hide in plain sight, but you'll never see them if your mind is too clouded with fear, blame, or frustration. Solution-oriented thinking also builds confidence. When your default mode is, let me figure this out, rather than, this is too much, you begin to trust yourself. That trust becomes momentum, and momentum turns into success. This mindset doesn't mean ignoring problems or being naively optimistic. It means refusing to be paralyzed by challenges. It means you take the wheel of your life and say, okay, this is hard, but I'm harder. Here's a truth that will change your life. Every problem has a solution or a lesson. Sometimes the solution is practical. Other times it's a shift in perspective, patience, or learning. But either way, there's something to gain. So the next time you face difficulty, catch yourself before you spiral. Take a deep breath and ask, where is the solution hiding? Because the moment you stop fixating on what's wrong and start thinking about what you can do, that's the moment your power returns. Number 6, control the inputs. Guard the gates of your mind. Your mind is like a garden, and what you allow into it will either grow flowers or weeds. If you want clarity, strength, and peace in your life, you must control the inputs that influence your thinking. In other words, guard the gates of your mind. Most people are not suffering because of who they are. They are suffering because of what they've been feeding their minds. The news, social media, gossip, toxic conversations, fear-based content, these are all mental junk food. And just like unhealthy food weakens your body, unfiltered mental input weakens your mind. Ask yourself, who are you listening to every day? What kind of content are you absorbing? What environments do you keep exposing yourself to? You become what you consume. If you constantly feed your mind with doubt, drama, and distractions, you will think and live at that low frequency. But if you fuel your thoughts with truth, growth discipline, and faith, your mindset becomes sharp, stable, and unstoppable. You must be intentional with your mental diet. Just like you wouldn't eat food that's spoiled or poisonous, you shouldn't accept every idea or influence that enters your space. Filter it. Question it. Reject what doesn't serve your purpose. Here's how you can replace mindless scrolling with mindful reading or learning. Unfollow accounts that drain your energy or make you feel less than. Limit your exposure to fear-driven media. Spend time in silence, nature, or meditation to reset. And surround yourself with people who speak life, not limits. Remember, even one negative influence, one bad voice in your ear can plant doubt, insecurity, or fear that takes days or weeks to recover from. Don't let just anything or anyone enter your mind. You are the gatekeeper. And this isn't about being perfect or living in a bubble. It's about protecting your focus, your peace, and your power. Your future depends on your mental state, and your mental state depends on what you allow in. So be ruthless with your boundaries. Curate your influences like your life depends on it. Because in many ways, it does. Guard your gates, feed your mind, protect your peace. Fest number 7. Replace emotion-driven reactions with logic-driven responses. In moments of pressure, frustration, or fear, most people don't respond, they react. And those reactions are usually driven by emotion, not reason. But here's the truth. Emotions are temporary. Consequences are not. If you want to master your life, you must learn to pause the reaction and choose the response. Emotions are powerful and necessary. They tell us something about our experience, but they're not always accurate. If you allow anger, insecurity, or ego to take the wheel, you may say or do things that hurt your future, your relationships, or your inner peace. That's why emotional intelligence is not about suppressing feelings. It's about managing them wisely. When something triggers you, your mind can enter fight or flight mode. Your heart races, your thoughts race. And if you're not aware, you'll act impulsively, say something you regret, make a rash decision, or shut down completely. But in that moment, you have power, the power to pause. That pause is your superpower. In the space between stimulus and response, there is freedom. You can ask, what's really happening here? Am I reacting to the situation or to a story I'm telling myself? What response would serve me best in the long run? This is where logic steps in. Logic doesn't mean emotionless. It means strategic. It means seeing the bigger picture. It means responding in a way that reflects your values, your vision, and your self-control, not your momentary mood. Training yourself to lead with logic takes time, but it starts with self-awareness. Learn your emotional triggers. Recognize the warning signs: tight chest, shallow breathing, racing mind. When they arise, breathe. Center yourself. Speak later, not in the heat of the moment. Great leaders, warriors, and thinkers don't make decisions in chaos. They create stillness within. That's the difference between someone who reacts and someone who responds. One burns bridges, the other builds them. So next time anger, anxiety, or ego tries to take over, remember, you are not a slave to emotion. You are the master of your choices. Let your wisdom, not your wounds, guide you. Respond like the person you want to become, not like the person you're trying to outgrow. Number 8, think long term. Act daily. In a world obsessed with instant results, fast rewards, and overnight success, very few people think long term. But if you want to build a life of true impact, peace, and fulfillment, you must train yourself to adopt a long-term mindset while showing up with daily discipline. Your future is built in your present. Every small action you take today either brings you closer to your long-term vision or pulls you further away from it. The key is to dream in decades, but execute in days. Think like a visionary, move like a craftsman. When you focus only on the short term, your emotions dictate your actions. If you're tired, you quit. If it gets boring, you stop. But when you're anchored in a long-term vision, you show up regardless of how you feel, because you know you're building something greater than the discomfort of the moment. Ask yourself, what kind of life do I want 5 or 10 years from now? What kind of person do I want to become? What habits would that version of me be doing every single day? Now, reverse engineer your day based on that vision. Don't wait for motivation. Take action. Small, deliberate steps every single day. Because it's not what you do once in a while that shapes your destiny. It's what you do consistently. Want to get in shape. It's not about killing yourself in the gym once. It's about showing up daily. Want financial freedom. It's not one lucky investment. It's disciplined saving, learning, and managing money wisely. Want unshakable self-confidence. It's not built overnight. It's earned through small daily wins. The long-term thinker is patient. They don't chase dopamine. They chase purpose. And that's rare in a world that rewards speed over substance. But that's also why long-term thinkers are the ones who rise above the noise and create meaningful success. So think long, dream big, but act now. Take the next right step today, because 1 year of disciplined daily action is more powerful than 10 years of scattered hustle. Time will pass either way. Make sure your future self is proud of how you're using it. Number 9, repetition rewires the brain. Practice correct thinking daily. Your brain is not fixed. It's not set in stone. In fact, it's constantly changing and adapting based on how you use it. This incredible ability is called neuroplasticity, and it means that you have the power to retrain your mind through consistent, focused repetition. Just like going to the gym builds muscle, repeating the right thoughts builds a stronger, more focused mind. If you want to break toxic patterns, build confidence, or develop unshakable inner strength, you don't need magic. You need repetition. Here's the truth: your current mindset is simply the result of what you've repeated over and over again. If you've been telling yourself, I'm not good enough, for years, your brain has wired that as your default belief. But the same principle works in your favor. Start feeding your mind with powerful, uplifting, and truth-based thoughts. And over time, those thoughts become your new mental foundation. It's not about saying something once and hoping it sticks. It's about training your brain through daily habits, affirmations, visualization, gratitude journaling, reflective reading, mindful self-talk. Even 5 to 10 minutes of focused mental training each day can completely shift how you think, feel, and act. Why is this so important? Because in moments of stress, fear, or self-doubt, your brain will default to its most familiar patterns. If you haven't conditioned it with truth and clarity, it will fall back into fear and confusion. But if you've rehearsed strength, focus, and calm, those will be your automatic responses. Remember this: your thoughts create your emotions. Your emotions shape your decisions, and your decisions build your life. That's why mastering your thoughts through repetition isn't optional. Rewiring your mind is not a one-time event. It's a daily practice. It's waking up and choosing to think on purpose, to feed your faith, not your fear, to focus on growth, not limitation. Day after day, brick by brick, belief by belief, you're building a powerful inner world. So be patient, stay consistent, trust the process. Because when you master repetition, you don't just change your thoughts, you change your life. A final message: the mind is your battlefield. Win it daily, my friend. As we close this journey of transformation, remember this: your mind is the command center of your life. If you think correctly, you live correctly. If your mind is aligned, your life will align. Every dream you want to achieve, every storm you must weather, every breakthrough you long for, it all begins in the silent war between your ears. Do not underestimate the power of a single thought. A single thought can break you, or it can build you. A single belief can limit you, or it can launch you. That's why you must guard your mind like your life depends on it, because it does. Advice for the journey ahead: choose awareness over autopilot. Be mindful of what you think, say, and believe. Speak to yourself with kindness, not criticism. You're growing, and growth takes time. Feed your mind with truth. Cut out the noise. Filter the lies. Focus on what lifts you. Practice correct thinking daily. It's not a one-time event. It's a lifetime discipline. Respond with wisdom, not reaction. Breathe, think, choose your next step carefully. Don't chase results. Build habits. Results follow those who act with consistency. Surround yourself with people who think higher. Energy is contagious. Visualize the person you are becoming and let that vision drive your choices. Even when life gets dark, when emotions rise, and when doubt creeps in, you now have the tools. You know how to breathe through it, reframe it, and rise above it. A closing prayer for your mind and life. May your thoughts be filled with clarity, your actions guided by purpose, and your heart grounded in peace. May every lie you believed about yourself be replaced by truth. May your mind be sharp, your spirit unshakable, and your journey forward full of divine wisdom. May you rise above fear, overcome the noise, and walk boldly into the life you were created for. Amen. Go forward with confidence, not because life will be easy, but because you are now equipped. You don't just know how to think, you know how to think correctly. And that changes everything.